In this video, I'm going to go over surface area of rectangular prisms. Just a quick reminder that total surface area includes the area of the bases, while lateral surface area does not include the area of the bases. So total surface area is like wrapping a present. You wrap every single side up. That way, whoever you're giving the gift to doesn't know what they got. Wrapping a present. And lateral surface area is kind of like the label on a can of soup. It doesn't cover the top and the bottom. I remember lateral is kind of like a label because they both start with LA. Now, these formulas can be found on your star chart. The total surface area formula is pH plus 2b, and the lateral surface area formula is just pH. P stands for the perimeter of the base. H stands for the height of the prism. And the capital B stands for the area of the base. Total surface area includes those two bases, the area of those two bases. We're wrapping the side of the figure plus the top and the bottom, the two bases. Lateral surface area is only the sides, that's the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. Height of the prism. Just so I remember what colors I'm using. Okay. So with any 3D figure, remember, we want to always find P, H, and B. P, H, and B. P, B, and H. To find the perimeter, I need to have the base. So I'm going to redraw the base. Sorry, the perimeter of the base. So I need to know what the base is. You can see it here, but just so I don't make any mistakes with my numbers, I'm going to redraw it. Redraw my base. Now I can say that this edge is 4 meters long. And I can say that this edge, that's this one here, that's the same as this one. This line goes across the line that is 3 meters long. We're finding capital letters P and B. Those are both things that pertain to the base. So I'm going to actually cover up the 3D figure and only look at the base that I've redrawn to find capital P, the perimeter of the base, and capital B, the area of the base. Capital P is the perimeter, and to find the perimeter, we're just going to add up all the sides. That's 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus another 4. So 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4, and that is 14. To find the area of the base, we need the area of the base here is a rectangle, so I'm finding the area of a rectangle. That formula is base times height. Base times height for this rectangle would be 4 times 3, which is 12 meters squared. The height is lowercase, which means it comes from our prism, not our base. So now I'm going to cover up the base we redrew, and we're looking at the prism. The height is whatever connects one base to the other base. Connecting one base to the other base. This base, my pen still has the rubber on it. This base here to the top base here whatever connects those two bases, or how I stretched the bottom base to become a 3D figure was 10 meters tall. So the height is 10 meters. 10 meters tall. Now I know P, H, and B just using a formula from here. First we're looking at lateral, and the lateral surface area formula is just P times H. We already know what P is. P is 14. I'm putting a bubble everywhere I have a variable. P, this bubble is in place of P, and P is 14. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 10. Now 14 times 10 is 140. This is an area, so this is meters squared. That's because our perimeter is in normal meters, and our height is in normal meters, and meters times meters is meters squared. Looking at the total surface area, the formula here is PH plus 2B. I'm going to put a set of parentheses or a bubble everywhere I see a letter. So I have bubble, bubble, plus 2 bubble. This first bubble is in place of P, and P is 14. The next bubble is in place of H, and H is 10. And the last bubble is in place of a capital B, the area of the base, which is 12. 14 times 10 is 140. Using order of operations, I know I have to do multiplication first. The other set of multiplication was 2 times 12, which is 24. And now I can do the adding of those two numbers together and get 164. This is a type of area, so this is still meters squared. And just so you can kind of see how that happens, we know from just the pH portion, this is m times meters, which is meters squared. 12 is already in meters squared, and 2 doesn't have any units. This is just a normal, we call it a scalar value or a scale factor of 2. So we've got a scalar value in meters squared, which means nothing times meters squared, or we can say 1 times meters squared is another meter squared. And just adding two things isn't going to change the exponent there. You'll learn that in high school. So we've got meters squared here. Now I want to find the surface area of the total and lateral surface area of the next rectangular prism. I need to know what is P, B, and H, and I need to also redraw that base. I've redrawn the base, that's this figure here. I can say that this side is 5 feet, and I can say that this side is 8 feet. I'm going to label that on that side. 8 feet, sorry. To find the capital letters, we're going to cover up the prism because the capital letters pertain to only the base that we've redrawn. Covering up the prism. Now we have P is the perimeter of the base, which we've redrawn. The perimeter of a rectangle is found by just adding all the sides. So this is 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, which is 16 and 10, so 26 feet. Now the area of the base is found by using some sort of formula. This is the area of a rectangle. And the formula for the area of a rectangle is just BH. So the base and the height of this rectangle is 5 times 8, which is 40. This is 40 feet squared. I'm just going to rewrite that. 40 feet squared. And the height is a lowercase letter. It comes from the prism, the 3D prism, not the base. So covering up the base for a moment, the height of the prism tells me how did I go from this bottom base to the top base? How is this stretched out to form a 3D figure. How much did I stretch it? Was 2 feet. And now that I have P, B, and H, we are all set up to use the total and lateral surface area formulas. First, we'll find the lateral surface area, which is using a formula just pH, the removed base times the height of the prism. Putting a bubble everywhere I see a variable. This bubble is in place of P, and P is 26. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 2. And 26 times 2 is 52. This is a type of area, so our feet are squared. 52 feet squared is the lateral surface area. Next, we'll want to find the total surface area, so that's capital P, the perimeter of the base, times the height of the prism, plus 2 times the area of the base. I'm putting a bubble everywhere I see a letter, or a variable. A bubble everywhere I see a variable. This bubble is in place of P, and P is 26. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 2. Plus 2 is just part of the equation, and then this bubble is part of the capital B, the area of the base, which is 40. Using order of operations, I now have to do this multiplication before I can do the adding. 26 times 2 is 52, and 2 times 40 is 80. Now when we add 52 and 80, we get 132. This is a type of area, so our units are squared, feet squared. Those are our more basic examples. Let's look at another type of 3D figure. We're going to look at a 2D representation of a 3D figure. That's called a net. So we're looking at the same type of shape. We're still dealing with a rectangular prism, but now this is a net. I'm just going to use this rule moving forward. The flaps that are sticking out of all of the rectangles will be the bases. So these are the bases. So I'm redrawing my base. This side of my base is 5 units long. I'll put a U for units. And this part of my base is this, which doesn't have any other numbers around it. You go look down here, that's this. If we folded this up to be a rectangular prism, this edge that I have a squiggle on, and this edge that's labeled as a 2 would match up. Those would be the same length then, so this is 2 units long. Now that I've redrawn my base, I'm all set up to find the perimeter of that base, the area of the base, and the height of the prism. To find capital P and B, we're not going to look at our 3D figure, so we'll cover that up. To find capital P, that's just the perimeter of the base, which happens to be a rectangle. And to find the perimeter of a rectangle, you just add all the sides. So that's 5 units, plus 2 units, plus another 5 units, plus another 2 units. And 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 2 is 14 units. To find the area of this base, capital B is just the area of the base, which happens to be a rectangle. And to find the area of a rectangle, you take the base and multiply it by the height. So of this rectangle, the base is 5, the height is 2. So we have 5 times 2, which is, I'm going to rewrite it over here, 10. Now we're going to look at the height of the prism. That's what connects one base to the other base, which would be this line here. These lines are all the same length. These vertical lines here are all the same length, which happens to be 11 units. So the height is 11 units long. That 10 is units squared. Okay. finding the lateral surface area, we're just using the formula pH. The perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. Putting a set of parentheses or a bubble everywhere I see a letter or a variable. This bubble is in place of P, and P is 14 units. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 11 units. I've got 11 times 14, which I believe is 151. But let's make sure, using our calculator. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Okay, making sure using my calculator that I have the correct value there. 14 times 11, 154. I'm silly. 154. 154. And they didn't tell us the units, so I'm just going to write units squared. Okay, now we're looking at total surface area. Total surface area formula is pH plus 2b, perimeter of the base times the height of the prism, plus 2 area of the bases. Putting a bubble or a set of parentheses everywhere I see a variable. This bubble is in place of P, and P is 14. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 11. This bubble is in place of capital B, the area of the base, which is 10. 14 times 11 is 154. 2 times 10 is 20. When we add those together, we get 174. This is a type of area, so our units are squared. I've also got a couple of word problems here. The first word problem reads that Evie is wrapping a present, and the gift box is 10 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 3 inches tall. How much paper is needed to wrap the present? We're using the problem-solving strategy called cubes. We're going to circle our important numbers, 10, 2, and 3, and there's no hidden numbers here, so that's okay. Now we're going to underline the question, so how much paper is needed to wrap this present? This is wrapping a present, which is asking us for a total surface area. And that's the formula pH plus 2b. Now what's so important throughout our problem? The total surface area was pretty important. It's not so important that she's wrapping a present anymore. It is important that the box, though, is 10 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 3 inches tall. Those are important things. And then the rest of this is just mush that we don't need. Okay, so we've got a box, so a rectangular prism. Looks maybe kind of like this. Okay, so it's 10 inches long. So maybe from here to here is 10 inches. It's 2 inches wide, so from here to here is 2 inches. And then it's 3 inches tall, so from the bottom to the top will be 3 inches. And we want to know how much paper is needed to wrap this entire present. That's the total surface area. And I will call this my base, the thing that it's sitting on. The face that it is sitting on. So I'm going to follow suit with the earlier problems. To find total surface area, I do need to redraw the base of this shape. That way I don't get my numbers mixed up. This is 2. This side of my base is 2. And then this side of my base, going front to back, is 10. And we're all set up now to find P, B, and H. To find the capital letters P and B, we're not going to look at our prism, we're just going to look at the base that we've redrawn. To find the perimeter, we're looking for the perimeter of this rectangle, and to find the perimeter of a rectangle, you just add all of the sides. So that is 2 plus 10 plus 2 plus 10, 2 plus 10 plus 2 plus 10, which is 24. To find the area of the base, capital B stands for area of the base, and this base is a rectangle, so we're looking for the area of a rectangle. That formula is BH, which is 2 by 10. 2 by 10, which is 20. And these are in inches, so this is inches squared, that's a type of area. Perimeter is just normal inches. Now we're looking for a lowercase h, the height of the prism. And to find the height of a prism, we're looking at the actual prism part and no longer the base. The prism is what takes us from this base to its matching base. What line connects those, or how far did I stretch this bottom base to get to the top base? That was 3 inches. Now we're ready to use the formula pH plus 2B. I'm going to put a set of parentheses or a bubble everywhere that I see a variable. This bubble is in place of P, and P is 24. This bubble is in place of H, and H is 3. And the final bubble is in place of capital B, which is 20. 24 times 3 is 72, plus 2 times 20, which is 40. That is going to be 112. This is a type of area, so this is 112 inches squared. That is how much paper is needed to wrap this present. 112 square inches of paper is needed to wrap the present. And one more word problem here. We've got that I am building a toy box without a lid for my dog. She is painting the visible portion of the box yellow. How much yellow paint does she need? There's no numbers in here. If I am building a toy box without a lid, then there's nothing there. And if I'm building a toy box, I'm probably not going to paint the bottom thing that it sits on because no one's ever going to see it. So we're only painting the front and the back sides and the left and the right sides, which would mean we'd have to find the lateral surface area. And just to go one step further, that formula would be capital PH. So if there were numbers here, we would take the perimeter of the base and multiply it by the height of the prism. That would get us the lateral surface area, or how much paint I needed to paint just around the sides of this toy box, not the bottom or the top. That is all of the notes I have on surface area of rectangular prisms. Once again, this was page 157 in our binders. If you have questions about the content in this video, please reach out to me via Schoology. That's probably the easiest way. My email, or drop a comment on this video, and I'd be glad to get back to you as soon as I can.